Today in the show, we're going to be talking about the history of Daniel Rand, Iron Fist. If you didn't know that for a while he actually posed as Daredevil, then this show is most definitely for you. So Iron Fist, he would first appear in Marvel Premiere number 15 in 1974. So Iron Fist is one of a number of characters that was created in the 1970s as there was a martial arts trend going on around this time. He's kind of been in and out of relevance over the years, but I think it's fair to say that he's more relevant now than he's ever been before. So Daniel was actually born to a man named Wendell Rand. Now Wendell Rand was actually brought up in the city of Kunlun. He found it as a small child and the city just kind of adopted him as one of their own. And he would eventually leave the city, go to New York, become very, very rich, marry a socialite and decide, you know what, I want to find the city again after giving birth to Daniel and waiting till Daniel was around 9 years old. So Wendell, his wife, his business partner Harold, and for some reason Daniel would all go to find Kunlun together. And on the way up the mountain, Daniel would slip, taking both of his parents with him. Harold actually forces Wendell to fall to his death because he wants Heather, Wendell's wife, for himself. He then offers to help Heather, and Heather obviously refuses this, so she and Daniel have to find their own way. And eventually they come across a bridge, but as they find this bridge, a pack of wolves attack Heather and Daniel. The archers of Kunlun then turn up and try and save Heather and Daniel, but it's way too late. Heather has to throw herself at the wolves to save Daniel, and after this, Daniel is taken into Kunlun. UT sees that Daniel wants vengeance, so he apprentices him to Lei Kung, and Daniel begins to learn martial arts, and he takes to this life like a duck to water. He even goes as far as conditioning his fists in his free time. Then, at the age of 19 years old, Daniel is given the opportunity to inherit the power of the Iron Fist on one condition. He has to defeat the dragon Shu Lao. He would defeat the dragon, but during the fight he would actually throw himself against the scar of Shu Lao, thus gaining a dragon tattoo. And after the fight was over, he would put his fists into a container containing Shu Lao's heart and would inherit the power of the Iron Fist. Kunlun would then reappear on Earth and Daniel would leave the city to go back to New York to kill Harold. But upon finding Harold, he would find out that the man had lost his legs shortly after abandoning Daniel and Heather. The man had been caught in heavy snowfall that frost had travelled so far up his legs that it was travelling all the way up his body, and if those legs were not amputated, he would have died. Iron Fist decides to walk away, but then Harold would be killed by a ninja, and this is when Harold's daughter walks in and blames Daniel for everything. So Daniel has to clear his name. Well, clear his name as Iron Fist because no one knows Iron Fist is Daniel at this point. After clearing his name, Iron Fist would become the new hero on the block in the Marvel Universe. He would begin working with a woman called Misty Knight, who would infiltrate a man named John Bushmaster's organization. This is where Bushmaster captures some of Luke Cage's closest friends and forces Luke Cage to kill Misty Knight. But it wouldn't be long before all the truth came to light and Iron Fist would actually help Luke Cage out in freeing all of his friends. This is where Iron Fist and Luke Cage team up for the first time and create the first ever Heroes for Hire. But there would be tension between the two because Iron Fist had actually inherited his parents' fortune and Luke Cage was poor. After this, a whole mess of things would happen involving an Iron Fist doppelganger. The only way for you to tell which Iron Fist is the real Iron Fist and which Iron Fist is the doppelganger is the doppelganger wears a red version of the Iron Fist costume. The extra-dimensional history would create this doppelganger, and this doppelganger would eventually be killed. But the real Daniel has cancer at this time, and he will be put into a stasis, and no one knows where he is. In fact, nobody knew that he was even alive until Namor eventually found him in this stasis. Using the power of the Iron Fist, he is able to concentrate his chi and cure himself while he is in this stasis, and he'll be taken out of the stasis by Namor. Just after this, a whole mess of things would happen, including Iron Fist getting his own mini-series, losing his powers, regaining his powers, moving to Tokyo, moving back from Tokyo, and none of it had any long-lasting consequences, even his own mini-series. So we're just going to kind of brush past it and go to just before Civil War. So just before the Civil War, Iron Fist is actually acting as Daredevil to try and convince the media that Matt Murdock is not Daredevil. But when the Civil War came about, Iron Fist was still acting as Daredevil, and he would be caught by the pro-registration forces. He would be freed and he would take part in the final battle, and after Civil War he would join the New Avengers. But he wouldn't stay with them for very long, but he would stay as an official ally to the team should they ever need him. Orson Randall, Daniel's predecessor of the power of the Iron Fist, eventually finds Daniel in New York and gives him the Book of Iron Fist, which contains all the kung fu secrets of all the previous Iron Fists. This is good because it's necessary for Daniel to be as good as possible to compete in the tournament of the 7 champions. Daniel would then go to Lei Kung to compete in the tournament, and this tournament actually decides the order of the 7 cities that appear on Earth. But then it would turn out that the leadership of the 7 cities is actually corrupt, and Crane Mother and Zhao want to destroy Kunlun, so a revolution would come about and the two of them would be stopped. But then it turned out Daniel's entire fortune came from the oppression of the 7 cities, so Daniel turns his business into a non-profit organization to help poor people and to teach martial arts to kids that wouldn't normally have the opportunity to learn martial arts. Then on his 33rd birthday, he finds out that every other Iron Fist died at the age of 33. Daniel is then attacked by Zhou Cheng, who claims to have killed every other Iron Fist so he could devour the egg of Zhu Lao so there could never be another Iron Fist. The lineage would stop with Daniel. Daniel would defeat Zhou Cheng, but the battle would be very, very difficult. He would actually dislocate his shoulder. But after the battle was over, it would be revealed there is actually an 8th city of heaven. Danny and his team go to the 8th city, and here it turns out that the original Iron Fist is actually the leader of the 8th city. This leader believes that Kunlun is corrupt and deserves to be wiped out from the earth. But Danny and Fat Cobra are able to defeat him, and this impresses him so much that he's like, okay, maybe Kunlun isn't that bad. So Danny and his team take him to Kunlun. By the time Danny gets back to New York, a lot of things have changed, but what you need to take note of is that Hydra have taken Misty Knight hostage, and they are using her as bait and want to get revenge for Shao's death. Danny would save her, but Rand International would be exploded. So Danny and Misty Knight move into a small apartment together, kind of use what little money they have left to start building a new life, and it will be revealed that Misty is pregnant. This is kind of like a short-lived, very romantic possible baby relationship because it turns out that the pregnancy was fake, so Daniel and Misty would separate and move into different apartments once again. Then Avengers vs. X-Men would come about, and Iron Fist actually mentors Hope Summers in Kunlun so she can defeat the Phoenix 5. Well, at that point it was the Phoenix 2. Last year, Iron Fist got a new book called Iron Fist: The Living Weapon. He's been present in Marvel Now, but this was his first major thing in Marvel Now. I have to say, it's actually a pretty good book. I usually do not like kung fu or martial arts books, but I like this one. I like it quite a lot. I do not claim to know much about martial arts. A lot of you know I am a pacifist due to my personal belief system. So because of that, this is kind of like an alien subject to me, but what I do love about this series and anything to do with Iron Fist is the links to Chinese and some other Asian cultures' mythologies. I find him to be a very, very interesting character with a lot of untapped potential. I would like to see a lot more done with him because once again, there's that A-list potential there. It was my same thing with Enchantress. There's a lot of A-list potential there. It's just not being tapped into yet, which is why this character kind of keeps falling into obscurity, then going back into the limelight, then falls into the obscurity once again. Before we finish up here, I would just like to say thank you to a specific Patreon donator that made this video possible. She pledged $250 a month, and because of that, she got to specifically request this video. I've been working on it for the past couple of months because getting Iron Fist comics is not as easy as you would think, and I had so much fun working on it because I really didn't appreciate this character for who he was before I made this video. I won't name you because I don't know if you would want to be named in a video like this. You can leave a comment down below letting everyone know who you are if you do want to be named, and maybe I'll add your name in an annotation if you do want to be credited in the video. But honestly, it means a lot that you donated, and this video was so much fun to make, and I can't put it into words just how thankful I am because it's insane. I'm thankful to all my patrons, but in this specific situation, you made this specific video possible, and it's just amazing, and thank you. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. So what do you think of Iron Fist? Do you like his links to Chinese mythology, or do you prefer more action and martial arts kind of things? Personally, I prefer the links to Chinese mythology and would probably take this character down more of a mystic intrigue route. But what do you think? Please let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon so I can make bigger and better and more history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.